So one of the biggest and most costly mistakes I see business owners or entrepreneurs make is not investing in client or customer acquisition, not putting money into getting more customers.
I often say that service to humanity is man's greatest work in life. We get back in direct proportion to what we give to the universe. But you got to give if you want to get. That's law.
Yeah, so number one is not investing in customer acquisition. And the real word is investing. The cool thing about going out and investing money in advertising or marketing that brings in a customer or a client is if you're doing it right, it means it truly is an investment. And that means that you're putting $1 in and you're getting something more than $1 back out in some period of time. And that might be in the first day, week, month, etc. But if you know the value, and that's the key, if you know the value of a customer or client, then you can know what you can invest in getting them. We have formulas that we go over in this, and in fact, maybe we could put together a worksheet or something to give folks. But we have formulas that we look at what is the lifetime value of a client over their entire lifetime, an average client. So let's say that the average client does business with you for 5 years. Let's just make up some numbers. The average customer does business with you for 5 years on average, and on average they spend $1,000 a year. So their average lifetime value is what? $5,000, right? So that's like a simple number. So, but you would know that if you've got product costs, let's say that you have 50% gross margin, so half of that is gross profit. So you got a $2,500 gross profit. You would know that you could invest up to $2,500 getting a client before you start to go in the hole. In general terms. And so when we're talking to entrepreneurs or business owners, we're saying, look at client acquisition as if it is an investment. If you were Warren Buffett or some other kind of investor out there and you're saying, okay, I know I've got $1, I've got to put it to work, and that dollar has to, sort of like Red Rover, bring some friends back with it. So something more than $1. That means that in your advertising and marketing, you're investing to get a client that is worth more than you spent to get them. So if you kind of break it down and look at the formulas for lead generation and say, okay, I know that I need to talk to 10 people that are interested, that have a problem, and that are my ideal prospects before I get a client. And I know that, let's take that $2,500 scenario. I know that my gross margin on a new client over their lifetime is $2,500. So in theory, I could spend that, but I don't want to. Let's say that I want to try to spend $500 or half of that first year of purchase getting a client. So let's call it $500 is your acceptable CPA or cost per acquisition of a new client. If you take that $500 and then say, well, I need to talk to 10 people to be able to get a client, well, then your lead cost, whether you like it or not, your lead cost or allowable lead cost would be $50, right? So 500 divided by that 10 number. But what that does is it makes you really powerful, because then you can go out there and say, okay, I know I can invest $50 generating a lead. And if I'm advertising in YouTube or Facebook, or if you're coming to a company like Digital Ventures, our arm, the digital marketing arm that generates new customer leads for companies, you know what your numbers are. And you can say, hey, JP, I want to grow the company by 1,000 new clients over the next 90 days or 6 months or whatever your number is. And I know that I can spend $50 for every lead because I know that I can spend up to $500 acquiring a new client. Well, then that's an investment, because then you know that if I put $50 in, 10 times I've put $500 in, and I've generated $5,000 worth of new sales or business. And that's like trading dimes for dollars. And I often say, if you had absolute certainty that every dollar that you were putting to work was going to generate a profit, whether in investing or investing in client acquisition, how often would you do it? Back in the day when I owned ad agencies, back in the 90s, people talked about an ad budget. They'd say, well, what is your advertising budget? And these days, when I have somebody ask me, what is your advertising budget? I say, I don't have an advertising budget, because if I'm getting customers or clients at a profit, is there a cap? Would you ever put a limit on how much you would be willing to invest? So it's not a matter of a budget. It's a matter of, here's where we want to grow to, and here's how much we're willing to spend to get there. And we're going to do that as fast as humanly possible. And so looking at client acquisition as an investment and as a business owner, doing it on a consistent and regular basis, whether you're running your own ads, whether you have somebody running your advertising and marketing, or whether you're going to a company like our company, Harbor City Digital Ventures, and you're having that company just generate leads at a fixed cost. Either way, however you're doing it, look at it as an investment. And in fact, probably the biggest and best investment you can ever make in your business, because it's going to bring back. And one way I often look at it is I say it's kind of like putting money in a bucket in a well and dropping that bucket down in that well and it coming back with more. So think about it in the terms we just talked about. So if it's like a 10-to-1 ratio, if you put $1 in a bucket and dropped it down in the well, and then you pulled the bucket back up and there was a $10 bill in there, you go, that was kind of, I wonder if that would happen again. You put $1 in, you drop it down, it comes back up, another $10 bill. Now you're seeing a pattern. How often would you do that, right? And I've had guys say, I'd outsource it or I'd automate it, right? So I would have somebody else dropping the $1 down and bringing it back, drop it down, bring it back. But however you do that in your business, advertising and marketing, converting those dollars into new business is the best investment that you can make. Now, I see a lot of entrepreneurs obviously that fail at that, and then they go, oh, well, advertising didn't work, or it doesn't work in my industry, or Facebook doesn't work for my industry, or LinkedIn doesn't work for my industry. And you hear that all the time. And the fact is if you have an audience with a pain, and that pain is so frustrating that they're willing to trade dollars in order to get a solution or to fix that pain, and you can reach them, then it'll work. You just have to have the formula right. And that's one of the things, I think it'd be great maybe in a future video for us to break down that whole idea of how do you come up with what is the right number, and then how do you put those dollars, whatever that amount of money is, how do you put those dollars to work in getting new clients? But it certainly is an investment. And one of the biggest mistakes I see entrepreneurs make is looking at advertising and marketing as an expense, not as an investment. And that's the critical key. It's not an expense. An expense is, I got to turn on the lights, and at the end of the day, we're going to turn the lights off, and then at the end of the month, I'm going to pay that bill. That's an expense. An investment is, I'm going to put some dollars in, and those dollars are going to come back with more dollars with them. And that's what advertising and marketing and client acquisition, or investing in client acquisition, is really all about. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you like this video, then we'd love to give you some more. All we want you to do is take a few minutes here and just make some comments down below. Number one, like the video, that'd help us out. Let us know that you liked it. But really, more than that, put a comment down below and tell us, what else would you like to hear? What are your challenges and frustrations in business? What is it that you are up against as an entrepreneur or business builder? Do that, and we're going to keep creating great content for you. And we'll see you in another video very soon.